It was the first fatal earthquake ever in Australia. The quake registered 5.5 on the Richter scale. It was felt from Melbourne to Sydney. Hardest hit, the old steel mill city of Newcastle, about 75 miles north of Sydney and just a few miles east of the epicenter.
The worst hit area, the city of Newcastle, about 75 miles north of Sydney. We have a live report now from John Church of NBN Television in Newcastle. John.
Thank you, Tricia. The situation here is that about 24 hours ago, an earthquake of the strength of 5.6 on the Richter scale struck this east coast city of Australia.
Royal Newcastle Hospital's North and York wings were evacuated minutes after the quake. This put 200 hospital beds out of use. The York wing has been earmarked for demolition for some time. The North wing will be preserved for its heritage value, but will not be used again to treat patients. $6 million in damage was reported at the John Hunter Hospital under construction at Rankin Park. However, this will not affect the commissioning date of January 1991. The argument over preservation of old buildings surfaced as demolition crews started work on the George Hotel in Scott Street and the Carrington Chambers next door. The inner city Newcastle RSL Club suffered a roof collapse in the quake. Remarkably, no one was hurt. Hours later, the upstairs rooms would have been packed with patrons. It too was brought down. Just why so many awnings in Newcastle collapsed can be explained in terms of structural engineering. It appears a council building code in 1928 ordered all support posts be removed, with concerns over increased car traffic on our roads. Tie support rods took their place.
The awnings were held back by tie rods. The tie rod was only fixed into the brickwork with a 4 to 6 inch diameter bolt only in the brickwork. And so when the shake came through, the brickwork above the flashing fell over onto the awning. The load of the brickwork on the awning pulled the bolt out of the tie rod, and hence the awning was then unstable and collapsed down into the street.
The fact that Newcastle has mines underneath it, in fact, made the damage a lot less, because the mining has reduced a lot of the stress out of the rocks, and that loss of stress meant that these rocks could actually take a lot of the earthquake energy. The second thing is that the mines are very, very well designed mechanically, and under normal conditions we don't get many rock falls, so it really made no effect at all to the underground mines. The underground mines have actually helped the city of Newcastle.
New Year's Eve was like no other experienced in Newcastle. Inner city residents shared the moment with newfound neighbours. Impromptu street parties were held on the closed roads. But for some, it meant a lonely vigil, bringing in the new year at work. A disaster relief centre was set up at Broadmeadow High School to provide food and shelter for those worst affected. When Newcastle's Lord Mayor launched a special relief fund, money poured in. Already more than $3 million has been raised. This means the most needy victims of the quake will not do without. The spirit of the city was boosted in this time of need with the knowledge that the rest of Australia cared. Now Newcastle has begun the long process of rebuilding. Not only the many physical aspects, but the social and spiritual as well. Christchurch Cathedral, itself damaged by the quake, was the venue for a special service of commemoration and renewal. Candles were lit for those who died.
Newcastle people are tough and resilient. They are not strangers to hardship. And as a result of this earthquake, we will have the chance not only to recover, but to renew both ourselves and our community. And our suffering will strengthen our resolve to make for a better future.
Well, this is Beaumont Street, Hamilton, just minutes after the blast or the explosion or the earthquake, and It looks as though bombs have hit all along here. It's like a war scene. People are standing around just dazed. There has been some loss of life, it appears, and buildings all up and down the street have just collapsed into the roadway.
It looked like a war zone. Within minutes, sirens filled the air as rescue teams swarmed to the scene. Police, firemen, ambulancemen, doctors, nurses and volunteers joining forces in the biggest rescue operation the city has ever seen.
The room just shook. Everybody got thrown onto the floor. It sounded like a big bang. And then the shaking. And I thought, it must be a bomb going off.